Hi, welcome to another episode of Esports Vikings Weekly. As you know, I'm your host Teemu, and on the couch we have my friend Janne and a special guest, Victor from the land of baguettes, France. Let the man speak for himself a bit, huh?
Yeah, I'm Victor from France. Been a gamer for like 10 years or something. Start with the the best game in the world, Team Fortress 2.
Fair enough.
Debatable, but sure.
And then I fall into Counter-Strike like 1 or 2 years after the release. Been playing a bit myself, but mostly watch the pro playing and the French CSGO.
Which will be the topic today.
Well, the reason you're here and the reason we're speaking today is Counter-Strike, and the pro break is ending as we speak. And on the 23rd of August starts the Starladder Berlin Major, which obviously everybody been waiting for a bit. And I understand you had some discussions beforehand and you made some lists of teams.
Yes, we made predictions for the top teams, the returning legends, and we'll go through that today. Let's see if me and Victor agree or not, and you as well. I think we have some differences. Maybe there's some French teams on his list that are, not as high on mine, but we'll see about that.
Okay, so the way we'll work is so you have the rank the teams from 1 to 8 on the returning legends, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so let's start with those. As the special guest, Victor, you'll have the honor to tell your number one team and why, and then we'll go one by one. The microphone is yours.
Well, to start off, I think we could all agree on the very first top team.
I think so, yeah.
Like Liquid American team, been like winning every last event, like 6, 7, 8 last event something, in 10 Grand Slam and everything.
They've been smashing everything. I mean, they took the Grand Slam as fast as you basically can, and there's nothing much to say. I mean, they are the best team in the world, and not having them number one on this list would be criminal, I think. I think Teemu can agree with that.
I mean, yeah.
Or is the Finnish bias too much, actually?
No, none in this. Like, just put it out there. If someone disagrees with Team Liquid being number one, then you simply say they don't understand Counter-Strike.
I think so. Mm-hmm. But also there's a big, the long break now. A lot of teams are going to be studying Liquid. They're going to be the most studied team for sure. Everybody's trying to overthrow them. So who knows? Things change. We've seen it before. Astralis were super dominant, and after some breaks and some tournaments they were missing during the year, I mean, they fell back, and it's not impossible Liquid will as well, but obviously they come in as the favorite.
About Liquid is what we can say to summarize is that obviously they are the number one team in the world, but other teams have probably used this pro break to study Liquid as well as possible, which means they could be in a similar situation to what Astralis had early this year, that they were dominant and they started losing after missing few events. Obviously, with Astralis, the case is Blast Pro Series because they're one of the hosts in that, and they missed big tournaments because of it. But in this case, the pro break might work against Liquid.
I do think so. I mean, what can you say? If the tournament was played 1 month earlier, I think we can all agree Liquid would probably go and win it without a doubt. But a break is always, there's a question of, do they still have the motivation? I mean, they're winning everything. Other teams are going to work really hard. I mean, Navi has interesting changes to their team, and Astralis, I'm sure they want to get back as well. Yeah. So they're going to be well studied, but we can all agree they are still the favorite, the heavy favorite coming in for sure.
Okay. Victor, number 2, and why?
Number 2 for me would be Astralis. Like, they want to take back the very top 1 slot, and thanks to the break, they had all the time they needed to get back on their general form, tactics and everything. Like, they're a machine, and I think they will be pretty strong on this major.
Sure. I mean, I can't argue with the logic, but I didn't go with Astralis as number 1. I went with Navi, which is kind of an outside pick. I didn't think like a month ago or more that I would actually put them that high up, but I do think they look better since they got Boomish instead of Edward, and they just have a ceiling that's higher than any team, I think. If they have Simple going off, Electronic going off, like, there's few teams who can stop that, and for some reason, I do believe in them having a good tournament, and they are my number 2 here.
In my opinion, both of those picks are good. I think you can't really go wrong. I maybe in some level I actually might agree more with Victor on this one, that because we've all seen what Australis can do. With Navi is the question of if Electronic and Simple go off, because if they don't, I think Navi lacks the peak without Simple and Electronic going off. So, but either way, yeah, you both are somewhat correct.
Look, I would say for me, obviously Australis they are in my top as well, but I think their lacking results they show something. Like, they haven't won a best of 3 against any of the top teams for months. They lost to ENS last time, they lost a best of 1 against ENS before that. They've been losing to Liquid constantly, and they are still consistent. They still beat the teams that are below them, for sure, but they are struggling against the good teams. And sure, they had a break now, they might fix it, they might come back stronger than ever, but I don't really believe they will. So I have them further down my list.
Okay, number 3.
Number 3.
You want to go?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure you heard about this team.
It's easy for my boys.
Pretty sure Teemu will be happy, because we actually both have ENS as number 3.
Okay, great. Bring on the Howards. I'm listening.
I think ENS, it's like they're an interesting team, and they do lack firepower. I think that's pretty obvious at this point, but they can still compete with all the top teams every single tournament. And even if they had a bad, like the last major, they crashed out, but that was against Vitality, and they have a really big problem with Vitality, I think. And it's the same with, like, Liquid and Vitality are basically their nemesis, you know, they just can't seem to win. And I think the issue is the same as it's been for a long time for ENS. Their map pool is not good enough. And they have Train, they have Nuke, they are really good on those maps, but besides that, they are just lacking. So that's a really big issue for them when they're playing Liquid and Vitality, who both have really strong map pools. So I think for this major, they have a good chance to go far, but if they play any of those 2 teams, I think they will be out. So if that happens in the quarters or that happens later, I just think they are out, actually. That's my take on it. But they could go to a final, you know? If they get to play like Navi, Australis, I think they can go to the final, but I don't think they can win, because they really struggle. And I think you might agree.
I agree. It's like, for me, kind of Vitality without like a big superstar of Saibu. And yeah, in terms of the firepower is less important. And still, they've been pretty consistent, but like you said, against Liquid, like everyone else, and Vitality, for some reason, they never make it.
Right, well, before Vitality kind of like reformed again, ENS, like their nemesis was Renegades. For whatever reason, they were unable to beat them, even though Renegades is a team below them. The lack of firepower, I agree to a certain extent, but then again, when the young gun Sergey, when he is shining, Allu is on his top, Alex is on his top, Ariel is finding his shots, and even Act7, like, he places a port, he can drop a 30 bomb in a game.
That's true, but
So-
it happens rarely.
Yeah, but
It's a lot of conditions.
yeah, there are a lot of conditions, yeah, so I think the problem is just inconsistency. So obviously I stand behind ENS, you know, as a proud Finn, but yeah, I still like the fact that you both have it at 3rd. Like, you bring up a lot of like negative parts, but you're still ranking them to top 3, which talks about, like, I think it says about the potential that the team has.
I think if you look at all the teams behind number 3 here, pretty much, or like the second half of the 8 legends, I think it's pretty clear that ENS is a better team than all of those. It's just that they lack the high, like their ceiling is too low. Like, for an example, like it's a good example Victor bringing up, you know, with Vitality. I think they're very similar, the 2 teams, but Saiwu is a factor ENS just doesn't have. And I think that's the difference. That's the difference between Vitality being able to win tournaments and ENS not being able to win them. I really think so.
Alright, but before we get sidetracked to Vitality, which is in the
Yes.
championship stage, let's continue to rank 4. Victor.
Rank 4. Navy.
Oh.
Yeah. For me, it's like big man Simple, almost all alone, like you said. Electronics have to show up, and when he doesn't, it's like it's not enough. But since they had Bloomby, I can't say his name. Boomish.
Yeah.
Is like really, really good player, but it's a new addition, and I think for me, a team needs quite a lot of time to get used to a new player, new tactics, and everything. And I hope, actually, I would like them to see them on the top again. But the break was important, but not enough for me for this major to like really get back to what they used to be.
Sure, that's fair. I mean, basically the difference between our list here is I have Navi at number 2 and Astralis at number 4, and you have it the other way around. So I think you believe in the consistency of Astralis and what they have been, and I believe in Navi being able to, reach a higher point. I think they have the potential, and I think it's time. Especially like Simple, he always shows up, and
True.
I believe he can still be even better. So I think we have seen that sometimes, and I'm a believer. So that's pretty much it. But we should probably move on, because now it gets pretty interesting. After the top 4, it gets really interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so 5.
5, I have FaZe.
FaZe Clan?
Yes,
All right.
which I don't even want to have them there, to be honest, because the truth is, I don't really believe in FaZe. They have, hear me out before you start laughing, alright? I just think the teams below, they all have bigger issues. FaZe is still a pretty consistent team. They struggle a lot against the good teams. The addition of Neo hasn't really worked out. I think it's fair to say it's already been quite a few months, and they haven't improved. They still look very unorganized. It just looks bad, honestly. But they still, they are still quite high on the world rankings, and there's a reason, because they always go to the playoffs. They get there, but then they bomb out. Of course, the team wants way more. They have this like superstar players. I wouldn't even call them superstars anymore, like Guardian, Olaf. I don't think they are there today, but on paper it's supposed to be a superstar team, and I'm pretty sure there will be changes. If they don't perform this major, there just has to be big changes coming.
The way I see FaZe Clan is that it's a group of has-been superstars.
Yes.
I mean, they all go to the team with like this superstar mentality and like the massive following and the spotlight, and then they kind of just like cool off and retire.
Yeah, and that's what it seems for me.
What do you have with 5th?
Oh, 5th, yeah. I have MIBR.
MIBR. But,
I believe in the Brazilians years ago.
but they're playing with Zeus, no?
They are,
Their
yes.
coach.
Last time.
But they're still playing with Zeus.
No. So Cord left, and they got Lucas one. I can't say his name.
Yes, they did, but the problem is they have to play with Zeus.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
Lucas isn't allowed to play.
Yeah, he can't play in the major.
Really?
No.
I
It's
was-
because of the system.
I was pretty sure when I saw your list that you didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I
So
didn't
I
know
understand
that.
it more.
Damn. Okay. So
Yeah.
never mind. No more. No. I mean they beat G2 with Zeus last time. I mean during the playoff, but no, for the major. Respect to the coach, but
I think
No.
it's kind of the whole bottom half of the Legends is the same thing. NIP is also I just want to move on because I think these teams all struggle. So I think we can go through them fairly quick actually.
Yeah. Okay.
NIP,
And we'll have the list showing on the screen anyway for the viewers. So.
Oh yeah. NIP is next on my list, and it's really hard because they can't play with Blobsky, so they will play with Golden, and that's not a good thing for them, obviously, playing with a stand-in, but I do believe the team is still fairly consistent. They usually come to big tournaments, and they play well enough. They make it to the playoffs most of the time, and I have them at number 6, but that's just because MIBR, for an example, they are playing with their coach, and I've seen a lot of the games with Zeus they have now, and honestly, I mean, you can't blame him. He's the coach.
No,
He's not supposed to be the superstar, and he's not. So I have them last, actually. So I have them at number 8, and then I have Renegades in between there because I think that's also a team that's been struggling hell of a lot, and they, like you said, they used to be like ENCE's nemesis, basically. They were good at the start of the year, and they were on the same level as ENCE, but then they dropped off really hard, and I can't see really any of these bottom teams making it far. And I think
No, me neither.
Same,
Okay.
like we all can agree on that.
Yeah, well, we went through your list to the end. So you had your number 5 was FaZe, 6 was NIP, 7 Renegades, and 8 MIBR.
Yes.
And your bottom is.
So my bottom is like MIBR, 6 FaZe. I mean,
Yeah.
no more to say about them. There's Renegades, yeah, like you said, since they achieved to, during the past major, reach the top 8, they didn't do almost anything. Still qualify for the playoff and stuff like this, even sometime not. And it's, yeah, like you said, Ants went really far since the first time they reached the top, and then nothing for the Renegades. And the very last NIP, for me, it's not a relevant team anymore. Sorry, but I don't know.
As a Swede, it hurts, but it's I can't.
It's a bit sad.
I can't argue, and it's the same for me. I have them at number 6, but that's just because MFBR plays with the coach, and Renegades has not done anything lately. So I think the bottom 4 is, for me,
the ranking doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. All 4 teams are struggling. They have the same type of issues. There's a lot of stand-ins, and basically, I think we both agree those 4 teams can't really challenge the top. That's just how it is. But that makes it more interesting with the challenger teams, because I think there's quite a few good teams there. Which
Let's jump into the challenger thing. One thing that I want to say before we start actually talking, that there's I don't know, 16 teams in Challenger stage or something, but
correct.
I told both of you to pick 4 that are going to advance and have a chance to challenge the ones in the top 8. So, who's the best team in Challenger stage?
Easy for Vitality.
Oh!
Yeah, I mean, there's no discussion. Vitality is a top tier team. They showed it every single time lately, and honestly, they might have the best player in the world. So, what is there to say? I love Simple, but Sayu has been out of this world. But sure, he can't really, how should I put it? He can't carry the team alone. He still does, but
It's the same
against
problem between Navy
yeah.
and Vitality.
Against Liquid, against these world-class teams, the rest of the team has to show up, and I think that's the condition they have to win the tournament. I think they can. I'm absolutely sure they will get through the challenger stages. Like, that's not even a discussion. They should go at least to a semi-final. I see them going to the final. That would be my prediction. If I was, to put them somewhere in the Legends list, I would put them at number 2 behind Liquid. So there's not much to discuss. They are just way better than the teams they will face in the beginning here.
They're known to lose the very first stage of every LAN.
They kind of have
But
that.
that was never an issue, actually. But yeah, Vitality. I still have some reserve. I mean, I will support them for sure, 100%. But they rely too much on Zayu.
Yeah.
It's like a 5-man sport, esport. And every time you can see one of the player like sleeping. Like last time was Apex, who forgot to brute his brain with him, and he did a lot of mistakes. Sometimes it's RPK, like really being consistent and being inconsistent, like showing off in big room from nowhere, and sometimes when the team need him, he's nowhere to find.
I don't remember which tournament it was, a little while ago, when RPK was absolutely insane. He was dropping like 30 bombs, map after map. I remember because we were talking and I asked like, what's going on with the old man? I mean, his hair is whiter than my granddad's and he's 32? And yet still he's banging heads like he's 16-year-old superstar.
In the French community we call him the tank. He's like, he will be always there for sure. But is in terms of firepower, that's not the player.
It's not somebody you rely on to do it consistently, but it's been a strength for Vitality that they have players who can show up. Besides Saiwu, of course, when it doesn't happen, it just doesn't work. But it's been pretty consistent that somebody steps up. Like I think Apex been fine too, and like in general, they are looking just solid. Then obviously Saiwu is their strength, but it's also the weakness. If he has one bad game, it's a massive issue.
I'm still waiting for the Zaiwu bad game. He always showed up every time. I mean, every time more than one rating, maybe only one map, and
that's the thing.
one, something like this.
A bad map for him is still, you know, an amazing for somebody else, but he
Yeah.
really needs to be amazing, especially if they want to go far. I still think their strength is the map pool as well. It separates them and ENCE, like to a big degree. ENCE is a solid team, but they have 2-3 maps they rely on, and that's not enough. I think Vitality has a really big strength because they have a pretty good map pool as well.
But I think part of the Vitality map pool thing is ZywOo, because when you have a player like ZywOo who can go off on every map, it doesn't matter if your like default strategies are not that strong. When you have a ZywOo who can do the 1v5s, 1v4s, and actually bring back the clutches and keep the team and the hype alive, that's one of the big keys why Vitality is doing so well. But time is going onwards. We all agreed that Vitality is the number 1 team from the championship stage. So let's go to number 2, Janne.
Okay, this was a really, really close one actually. I think I could have almost had any of 3 teams here, and I went with Mousesports.
Yeah.
I really, really like them. They have really, really good consistency, and they are a new team, but they still have I think they have a good map pool. They have old, like experienced players, but they also have the young guns in Frozen and Robs as well. And I think they have a really, really nice future. Like, I could see them going far in this tournament. They've been showing up every time. They beat FaZe several times. Obviously good for Kerrigan, you know, show the old team that maybe was a mistake and all. But I think they have really, really good mix of experience and talent. And with this break, I think they are going to work hard. They are going to show up even better. I think they are probably like my dark horse for the tournament, honestly.
Okay.
I think they are not a top tier team right now, but they have the potential to beat pretty much anybody. I can see them beating Vitality, I can see them beating Astralis, ENCE. I can. And okay, sure, Liquid might be a little bit too much, but I have them as my number 2 from Challengers at least.
Alright, Victor?
My number 2 is an Origin.
Alright.
I mean, not that much to say about them, but they brought Stanislas, and I think that's what they needed, like pretty good in-game leader, some structure and everything, because they have, like other team, a really high ceiling, and with someone to put everyone into place, establish strategy, tactics and stuff like this, they would just need to point and click headshots. Yeah, I'm waiting for them for this major, still not really sure, but if the break will be enough for them to be really on point.
I agree.
But yeah.
100%. I have them as my number 3, and it's really close. Like, they could have been for sure number 2 as well. I think it's really close, and I think Energy is a very, very interesting team. I think their peaks are really good, and when they play well, they honestly look like almost a world-class team. It's just inconsistency has been a big issue. They've been pretty much dead last in some tournaments when they have a bad one, and they need to work on it, but it's still a very talented young team, and I do believe in them. I think they will definitely go to the playoffs. I can't really see them struggling against, you know, the bottom half of the challenger teams. They are way too good for that.
So you have Energy as 3.
Yes.
What's your third then?
G2. Yeah.
Oh, back to France.
Back to France. CSGO. French CSGO is back. Yeah, G2. I mean, let's forget about their loss against MIBR with Zeus on the last event. But yeah, beside that, I'm really glad to see Kenny S and Shux back on the really high level of CSGO, really get their form back. And the new addition with Amanek, Lucky and Jax have been like proving their point since the new lineup. They did pretty well online, they did pretty well offline too. I can see them going to the top 8, grabbing the A spot, but not further than that, sadly.
I actually like that because like when I started following CSGO, like really like quite a lot in like 2013, I had followed a bit, but then when I got into it, I think it was Titan era when Kenny was like
NBK, Kenny,
yeah,
Shocks,
NBK,
something like
Kenny,
this.
Shocks, like,
Smith.
and that was at the time when Kenny was like the best opera in the world, and it's really cool to see like getting back in form, and you know, because it's just a pleasure to watch him play because it's really smooth, and you know he does a lot of great things with that. big green rifle.
I mean, he's a fan favorite, and it's nice to see him back for sure. And I think it's the same for me. I think G2 is an interesting team, and I have them at number 4 actually. So we keep on going like that. But it's I'm happy to see that after the changes, I thought they started kind of slow, but they definitely got into it, and they've been improving like slowly but surely. Like they've been going forward in a nice tempo, and I think that's sometimes better than just a team reforming and they have like one super good month and then they fall off or something. It's a gradual increase all the time, and it's nice to see. I think they should definitely go through to the playoffs. Then I'm not counting on them doing much more. Sorry, but you know, that's where I see them. They are a playoff team, definitely. They are better than the bottom half of the challengers, just not much more. Right, not right now, but they can still improve.
It's more about the shots and Kenny factor.
Yeah, they need to show up. That's how it is. But Kenny's been really, really good lately, so it's definitely an X factor for them, if it's even better.
So your championship top 4 is Vitality, Mousesports, Honor G, and G2.
Correct.
And yours is Vitality, Honor G, G2, and number 4? Furia.
Yeah, my dark horse. Like, really.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was impressed by the time they beat Vitality.
Yeah.
And it's an overall, like, at least it was. I'm not sure they will be, again, a really crazily aggressive team. Like,
yes.
It was really impressive, at least from my perspective. And the firepower they have, it's just amazing. The ceiling is really high for me for this team. The firepower, I mean, they don't have to work on this that much. It's more like they need maybe a Stanislas, for example.
I do agree. Furia is definitely an interesting team. They've been after their, success. They came out of nowhere, and they just beat teams everywhere, and they were like gods on Nuke, and nobody could beat them. And then the tournaments after and the games I've seen, it just seems like it's gone with the wind, And I really don't see, they're not solid enough for me. They, like you say, they have a high ceiling, they do, but I think teams have really figured them out as well. I think it's a big part. They came out of nowhere. Teams were not ready for what they were doing. I think today nobody will take Fury as a joke. So I don't even see them potentially going to the playoffs. Obviously that's their goal, but I really don't believe in them for some reason. And I think it's interesting because I don't have Fury on my list at all, and you don't have Mousesports, and Mousesports is my dark horse, and Fury is yours. So I guess we'll come back to that one day and see how that goes. But I don't know. I just don't believe in them. I really don't.
We had a nice diversity on the list. There's some differences. A lot of things we agreed on, some things we didn't agree on, but we clearly have, there's some difference in the opinions, which is always better for the discussion part. And now, unfortunately, time is coming to an end. First of all, Victor, thank you for coming. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And probably, maybe we'll have you once again.
Please, if Vita win, invite me again.
If Vitality wins the major, I promise not to invite you, because I can't stand.
I will crash. Yeah. No worries.
Look, if Furia goes far and Mousesports bombs out, then you can have the show with only Victor, right? Like that wouldn't be a fun
wait.
So we'll see. No, it's going to be interesting, and I think one big part where we do agree on a lot of things, but there's some certain things obviously that we differ on, and I think it's because the scene right now is kind of changing. A lot of teams are unsure. We don't really know where the teams are, like NRG, Mousesports, even G2. Like there's a lot of teams who we just don't know where they stand right now, and it will be super interesting to see the major because it's the only thing we can be sure of is basically Liquid and Vitality being good. The rest is, I don't know, it's really, really hard to predict. There's definitely some underdogs who could go far here, I think. But that's it for me, and it's going to be a pleasure when Mousesports goes far and Korea comes out.
Alright, so again, thank you very much, Victor, for coming, Janne for being here. I think that's it for Esports Vikings Weekly. Remember to press the like button and subscribe to follow more of similar stuff in the future.
If you do, you can see my prediction being right, and Victor gets that next time, so please subscribe.
Yeah, alright, thank you very much. And until next week, ciao ciao.